In the vast arena of international politics, economics, and influence, two mighty alliances stand at the forefront, poised for a clash that could redefine the course of global affairs: BRICS and the G7. These groups, composed of nations with significant economic prowess and geopolitical weight, represent a confluence of interests, values, and aspirations that are as diverse as they are formidable. The BRICS bloc, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has emerged as a powerful contender challenging the traditional dominance of the Group of Seven, or the G7, which includes the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. The confrontation between BRICS and G7 goes beyond a mere economic rivalry. It represents a multidimensional contest of ideologies, priorities, and visions for the future of the global order. BRICS have overtaken the G7. The BRICS group is composed of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, representing the largest developing economies. In contrast, the G7 comprises the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Japan, Italy, and Canada, representing the largest industrialized economies. Throughout history, the G7 countries have held dominant positions among the world's largest economies, but the BRICS nations, particularly China and India, have stood out due to their immense populations. While the G7 countries collectively account for approximately 10% of the global population, China and India alone, each with around 1.4 billion people, collectively constitute about 35% of the world's population. The entire BRICS group, encompassing these countries along with Brazil, Russia, and South Africa, constitutes a staggering 41% of the global population. Until 2019, the economic contributions of these two groupings had been relatively balanced, with the G7 contributing 31.5% to the global gross domestic product, or GDP, and the BRICS accounting for 30.7%. However, a significant shift occurred in 2020, marking a pivotal moment in the global economic landscape. During that year, the BRICS countries collectively contributed 31.4% to the world's GDP, surpassing the G7's share of approximately 30%. In essence, this reversal in economic power marked a milestone favoring developing nations, signifying a notable turning point in the ongoing decline of economic dominance held by developed countries. It is anticipated that the BRICS alliance will play a role in generating more than 50% of the global GDP by the year 2030. This projection could be accelerated by the suggested expansion of the group. Notably, China's GDP surpassed that of the United States in 2015 when assessing economies using purchasing power parity metrics. The shift in economic power observed in 2020 serves as a symbol of the changing dynamics between developed and developing countries, emphasizing the growing influence of the BRICS group and the diminishing dominance of the G7 in terms of global economic prowess. De-dollarization, a BRICS currency to shake the dollar's dominance? The BRICS nations are actively exploring the development of a new currency aimed at competing with the US dollar. While this potential currency is still in the review and development phase, its creation would empower these nations to assert their economic autonomy and challenge the existing global financial framework. For many years, the US dollar has held unparalleled dominance as the world's primary reserve currency. Presently, it is utilized in over 74% of global trade, 90% of currency exchanges, nearly 100% of oil transactions, and just under 60% of foreign currency reserves maintained by central banks. Its widespread use as a benchmark in the forex market and for conversion purposes has led to its substantial holdings by central banks worldwide. The BRICS nations have various motivations for pursuing the establishment of a new currency. Recent global economic upheavals and assertive foreign policies from the United States have prompted the BRICS countries to contemplate this possibility. Their objective is to better serve their own economic interests while diminishing global reliance on the US dollar and the euro. This endeavor has garnered interest from additional countries looking to join the BRICS alliance. Bangladesh, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt have all become members since 2021, expanding the group's membership to 8. This momentum has also sparked interest from approximately 40 other nations considering joining as the bloc prepares for a summit in 2023. Despite the euro and yuan gaining popularity and eroding the dollar's reserve currency share, the dollar remains the most widely used reserve currency, followed by the euro, yen, pound, and yuan. The implications of introducing a new BRICS currency on the dominance of the US dollar remain unclear, sparking discussions among experts about its ability to rival the dollar's supremacy. If this new BRICS currency can establish stability in comparison to the dollar, it might reduce the effectiveness of US sanctions, potentially causing a depreciation in the value of the dollar. Such a scenario could also trigger an economic crisis that could impact American households. This new currency could accelerate the ongoing trend of de-dollarization, as countries around the world seek alternatives to the US dollar. Examples include China and Russia engaging in trade using their respective currencies, while nations like India, Kenya, and Malaysia advocate for de-dollarization or enter agreements with other nations to conduct trade in local currencies or alternative benchmarks. Although it remains unclear whether the introduction of a new BRICS currency would stimulate the creation of other alternatives to the US dollar, the possibility of challenging the dollar's dominance as a reserve currency persists. As countries continue diversifying their reserve holdings, the US dollar could encounter heightened competition from emerging currencies, potentially reshaping the power dynamics within global markets. Can BRICS replace G7? The combined population of the BRICS nations now exceeds 40% of the global total, and their collective GDP constitutes 31.5% of the world's economy. It is conceivable that these BRICS countries could achieve self-sufficiency, engaging in intra-group trade without relying on the United States. While discussions surrounding BRICS have gained momentum, there is limited available information regarding the various models being considered. For a new currency to be viable, the BRICS nations would need to reach consensus on an exchange rate mechanism, establish efficient payment systems, and create a well-regulated, stable, and liquid financial market. To attain global recognition for their currency, the BRICS consortium would need to demonstrate a strong history of cooperative currency management, convincing others of the reliability of the proposed new currency. At present, the likelihood of a BRICS equivalent to the euro is low, as none of the participating countries have expressed a desire to phase out their respective local currencies. Instead, the current objective seems to involve establishing an integrated and efficient payment system for cross-border transactions as a preliminary step, followed by the introduction of a new currency. Foundational elements for this endeavor are already in place. In 2010, the BRICS Interbank Cooperation Mechanism was launched to facilitate cross-border payments between BRICS member banks using local currencies. Additionally, efforts have been made to develop BRICS Pay, a payment system enabling seamless transactions among BRICS nations without the need to convert local currencies into US dollars. Conversations have also arisen regarding the potential for a BRICS cryptocurrency and the strategic alignment of central bank digital currency development to foster currency interoperability and economic integration. With numerous countries expressing interest in joining the BRICS group, it is likely that the consortium will expand its efforts toward reducing dependence on the US dollar and promoting alternative currencies. Several of the group's most ambitious prior endeavors aimed at establishing significant BRICS initiatives to mirror non-Western infrastructures have fallen short. Noteworthy concepts like the establishment of a BRICS credit rating agency and the creation of a BRICS undersea cable never came to fruition. Furthermore, efforts toward de-dollarization have encountered obstacles on both the multilateral and bilateral fronts. In 2014, upon the launch of the new development bank by the BRICS nations, the founding agreement outlined the potential for financing operations in the local currency of the host country. However, as of 2023, the bank remains heavily reliant on the US dollar for its sustenance. Local currency-based financing constitutes approximately 22% of the bank's portfolio, although the newly appointed president aspires to elevate this figure to 30% by 2026. Similar complexities are evident in bilateral endeavors to achieve de-dollarization. Russia and India, for instance, have endeavored to establish a mechanism for trade using their respective local currencies. This approach would allow Indian importers to settle payments for Russia's affordable oil and coal in Indian rupees. Nevertheless, discussions were halted when Moscow's enthusiasm for accumulating rupees waned. In spite of the challenges associated with de-dollarization, it would be unwise to disregard the BRICS group's resolute determination, a trait they have consistently demonstrated in defying expectations. Presently, the group boasts an extensive network of interconnected mechanisms that facilitate collaboration among governmental officials, businesses, academics, think tanks, and various stakeholders spanning multiple countries. The emergence of a new global economic framework will not occur overnight through the introduction of a new BRICS currency or immediate de-dollarization. Nonetheless, the potential for such a transformation lies in the BRICS coalition's commitment to policy coordination and innovative initiatives. The current de-dollarization trend is part of a broader historical cycle, a phenomenon not confined to this particular era. Across history, we've witnessed the ascent and decline of empires along with their corresponding dominant reserve currencies. Examples range from the Dutch Empire and the guilder to the British Empire and the pound sterling, and today, the US Empire with the dollar. It's a recurring pattern that underscores the ever-changing global order. Inevitably, shifts in this order will occur, and it appears that the BRICS nations are poised to play a significant role in this transformative process. Do you think change is coming and the United States will no longer be the world's leader in the future? Share your thoughts and leave your comments below. If you like what you watch, hit the like button to show your support. More importantly, subscribe to this channel so that you will receive more interesting videos about the happenings in Asia.